Yes, hello everyone, Paul Jarash, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another weekend review show. And my God, what a weekend we have to review and break down with you. I'm joined by Liam White and Aaron Prendergast. Unfortunately, Matthew Hurley cannot join us. He's making his way back from Kilkenny, of course, where the Munster Final took place. But lads, what a weekend. We have the Connacht football final where Roscommon completed the treble across minor, under 20 and senior for the first time in Connacht football history. Kerry making it 6-0 in the Munster Championship. The Táilteann Cup round 1. We also had action from the final round of the LGFA Provincial Championships in hurling. Cork got a massive win over Waterford and Munster. And round 3 of the Leinster Championship saw some huge results as well. We had the John McDonough round 3, round 4 from the Christy Ring, Nicky Rackard and Laurie Marr. And in the Camogie, we had 2 thrilling provincial finals in Leinster and in Ulster. The Leinster one went to extra time and saw a famous win for Wexford. Also, big shout out as well to our championship coverage partners, ATAC Sports. They sent us over plenty of gear, football, slitters and everything like that. They are our championship coverage partners here on Cúilín Media for 2026. If you want any sportswear, check them out. Check out their website and them on social media. ATAC Sports, big shout out to them. Lads, what a weekend we have to look forward to. Liam, I'll come to you first. Bit of a crazy day for you. Obviously, Offaly's drama against Kilkenny and then Arsenal's dramatic win as well against West Ham. How's the heart?
Well, if heaven was a place on earth today, then by God, it's in Tullamore for me. Yeah, I mean, my heart is only still recovering from Callum Wilson's goal that didn't stand in the end, which rightfully so. Anyone that's not happy with that, come at me. I don't care. Yeah, the heart's not good, Peter. I can't lie. It's terrible, to be honest with you. But was it worth it? Absolutely. Look, obviously devastating in a way that we didn't get to beat Kilkenny, but I think in comparison to, say, the Dublin game, it felt like that one we probably threw away because Donald Burke got the point at the end and all that kind of stuff. Whereas today, it's a bit different because we were the ones that got the point at the end. So it feels like we really did rescue ourselves, to be honest with you. So yeah, look, it's been a brilliant day today. Sorry. It's been a brilliant day today for me. Can't complain. And yeah, look, in a couple of weeks' time, please God, I could be watching Offaly reach the knockout stages and Arsenal win the league on the same day. So it could be a good month ahead for me. But yeah, and in terms of the games over the weekend, Jesus, it's been some weekend, hasn't it? Roscommon winning Connacht, Dublin getting a big win over Wexford, Cork over Waterford as well, Kerry winning Munster, Dublin winning the Camogie. It's been a fascinating weekend and I can't wait to get into it.
Absolutely. So Gavin is there with us on the live. Ryan as well. If you are with us, we would love to hear your feelings, how you are getting on after a famous win for the Roscommon and obviously the historic achievement as well of a treble in Connacht is absolutely sensational. Gavin here saying, I remember after the Cork game, Seamus suggested giving Davy Burke another year, but thank fuck that didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, that's a comment that's probably aged like milk. But yeah, we're going to get into the games, and there is no better place to start than this game right here. Roscommon, 3 goals and 21 points. Galway, 2 goals and 22 points in Dr. Hyde Park. Aaron, you were absolutely giving this game the props that it deserves. One of the best provincial finals we've seen in recent times. An absolutely crazy game between Roscommon and Galway. It's a historic achievement by Roscommon. The first time ever that a county in Connacht has done the treble at minor, under 20 and senior Connacht Championship wins. You could argue for Roscommon, it's their most important Connacht Championship title ever. What are you thinking? How do you even break down this game? An absolutely crazy one.
Yeah, just absolutely crazy. Like, it's just a mental game. Like, I don't really know where you start, to be honest. Like, this game had so many different facets to it, from Galway starting the better, Roscommon being quite slow, Galway building an 8-point lead, but then Roscommon obviously getting 2 quick goals from both of the Heenahan brothers, who, by the way, like, the pair of them are just absolutely brilliant, and they're causing all sorts of havoc. In particular, Dara Heenan today, like, he could have had a hat-trick, but he's been some point for Roscommon. And what, like, I think that's the difference with Roscommon this year. Like, Enda Smith has been there, German Mirth has been there, but the Heenahans have come into the side. Obviously, Dara Craig's a lot more established now as well. They've just added a few players, maybe quietly, without people really kind of noticing or seeing it. And that has just propelled Roscommon and made them a very, very dangerous team. And they do play quite differently to other sides. Like, they're very, like, they just run through the centre of teams' defences. And like Galway just didn't know how to handle it. And I think with the way that the game is right now, it's very much focused on 2-pointers, and like teams aren't really going for goals a lot of the time now. Like, teams are hand passing over the bar and everything else. But Roscommon, they have other ideas, and they were just running at Galway. And Galway just didn't really know how to deal with it. They kind of looked a bit perplexed at different stages. But then, like in the second half, you were thinking, right, Roscommon have the wind here. They were on top, probably going to win the game. Didn't kind of see Galway off, like didn't put Galway away, and allowed Galway back into it. And then Galway, when Damien Comer scores that goal with 5-6 minutes to go, you're thinking a team of Galway's experience. They'll hold the ball, they'll keep the ball, they won't make any mistakes. But yeah, Roscommon came back into it. And you know what? Like it's easy maybe to point the finger at Galway and say maybe that they fluffed their lines or bottled it and everything else. And look, maybe they did to a certain extent, but like when you're looking at the quality of the points that Roscommon scored down the home stretch, like a 2-pointer, I think from Conor Ryan, there was another one from German Murtha from the free. Like maybe on kickouts, they kind of lost away a little bit. They kind of lost the battle. But yeah, just an absolutely insane game of Gaelic football. Definitely one of the best provincial finals I've watched from a neutral perspective for some time, I think. I can't really think of one in football that, like, the Cork Kerry game was unreal last year, but that was obviously a semi-final. That wasn't a final. So just an absolutely incredible game.
Absolutely unbelievable stuff. We've plenty of comments flying in about this game. Please keep them coming, guys. Peter saying treble Connacht crown for the Rossies. Senan saying Roscommon really have been the biggest shock. They had a really underwhelming run last year. Now absolutely unbelievable. Peter saying Mikey Comerford, former Cats S&C coach, is in the Rossi camp now. Gavin, obviously proud Roscommon man, saying 2002 baby. So first time I seen Connacht win at home. Granted I could barely see because it was a sellout. Sean says game of the weekend, comeback from Roscommon in the last 10 minutes was perfect. Senan says you cannot sleep on the Roscommon team at this time. Gavin saying, I agree with Aaron. The Mayo lads were saying that on the RF podcast, except Enda and Diarmid. It's a young but big team similar to Meath. And Sean saying Roscommon are very fast and nippy. They were starting to tire a little in the third quarter, but they dug deep to see it through. And also saying, you see, Damien Comer didn't hear the whistle, which is apparently why he didn't give the ball back, which led to Craig's 2-point free at the end. And then on top of this, obviously, Peter saying fair play to Murtagh for the respectful mention of Michael Lester as well. May God rest his soul. That was, very nice moment. I think it has to be said, Liam, when you're talking as well there, one of the comments, I forget who exactly it was from. It was Gavin, saying that 2002, so it's his first time seeing Roscommon win the Connacht title at the Hyde. That's the added element into it, along with the dramatic comeback from Roscommon, which was sensational. The fact that it's their first win in a Connacht final at the Hyde since 2001, the fact that they hadn't beaten Galway at the Hyde in an awful long time as well, that adds to the win.
It absolutely does. And I think that's what makes today even more special. Like, we have seen it over the years that there is just this weird thing in Connacht that if you have the home advantage for the final, a lot of the time you don't win it. It's such a weird thing. Like, I can remember Galway beating Mayo a couple of years ago in the Connacht final in Salt Hill. But other than that, I genuinely struggle, like off the top of my head, to remember the last time a team won a home Connacht final. So to see this today, to see the scenes after the game, the celebrations on the pitch, it's why we love sport, to be honest with you. Like, seeing the reaction of all the Roscommon fans, the jubilant celebrations with the players, they're now going to be idolized for. I think this is honestly Roscommon's best Connacht win in years, to be honest with you. I think certainly of this century, to be 6 points down, backs against the wall, and then to come up with the final. Just remember, they got 8 of the final, the 8 last scores of the game came from them. That is absolutely incredible. To, like, even to use the word bottle, to have the bottle to do that is absolutely incredible. And it's a huge, huge credit to everyone involved with the Roscommon team, to Mark Dowd as manager. I'm delighted for them, to be honest. And nothing against Galway. I love Galway football. I feel sorry for the likes of Comer, Finnerty, McDade, Darcy, Walsh. Like, they put, and especially Walsh, I think today put in a really, really good performance. That was the Shane Walsh that we've become accustomed to over the years. Paul Conroy, 4 points from midfield, was absolutely brilliant. Damien Comer, great to see him back on the field and given what he's given us over the years. But you just can't feel anything but delighted for Roscommon. Like, after the year they had last year, the league that they had, and look, I'll even hold my hands up here. I predicted them to go back down. to Division 2. I thought they were going to be in for a torrid season. And now they're a provincial winner once again, and firmly, richly deserving so. To beat the two best sides in Connacht, to beat Mayo comfortably in Castlebar, and to then beat Galway when their back's against the wall. Honestly, they'll be celebrating for days. There won't be a milk cowed in Roscommon for the next week. Absolutely unbelievable. And look, congratulations to Mark Dowd, to everyone in Roscommon, and a special shout out to my former English teacher, Pork Murray. I hope he's enjoying the celebrations tonight and everything like that. And it's a great time for him as well. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning he lost his mother recently, so condolences for that as well. But this will be just great for him as well. I'm delighted for him and everyone involved with Roscommon. But yeah, what a victory. And Connacht is blue and gold once again.
Absolutely, and condolences as well to your English teacher on that tragic loss. I hope best wishes stay grabbing on Dealish. Gavin here saying the Croke Park record, last win since 1980. That's the next step. There is an All-Ireland in Roscommon this year. Bridget's missed their chance, but look, the minors, under 20s and seniors are all in a good position. They certainly are. Peter saying Roscommon have really earned their stripes on this one. Now they're shut down. Senna saying Galway 2029 Táilteann Cup be good crack. So we're getting it all. We're getting it all. Senna saying, as a Roscommon man, best Connacht win I've seen so far. Born in 2008, but started caring about GAA in 2017. Sean also saying it's actually mad when you look at their squad depth. A lot of their players stood up. They certainly did. And that's the other thing as well, is we're seeing examples across the board. I think Louth is another very good example, that when you have like a factory line coming behind of good under 20 teams, good minor teams, it really keeps you at the top level. Like, we're seeing teams fall away because they don't quite have that talent to come in and replace what they currently have. Roscommon look very, very good. And that's the key thing. Like, when you're talking, Aaron, like, that's the key thing is we have seen, and I don't mean to be in any, like, I mean this more as a positive thing. We have seen Roscommon win a Connacht Championship, look great, and then fail to break that glass ceiling and get into the semi-final. Now, I've seen your tweets today. I'm getting the vibe that you think that this year is different, that they can do it this time. Why do you think that?
I think it's the newer players that they've added into their team, and they're like a lot more well-rounded in terms of, like, I feel like previous Roscommon teams maybe were reliant on a couple of players, like a couple of kind of star players at different stages. It feels a lot more well-rounded now. I think their goalkeeper as well is brilliant in terms of his kickouts. With O'Carroll, like, you saw some of his kickouts today were absolutely top class, especially in the second half as well, using the wind. Around the midfield as well, they're brilliant. Like, Conor Ryan's a brilliant player there. When Conor Hand comes in, he plays well as well. And then, yeah, some of the younger lads, they've obviously integrated, and Darren Robert Heenahan, the form of German Murta. And I think with Mark O'Dowd as well, like, he's obviously done a very good job at a club level with Roscommon. He's been very involved within the county, hence why he's been able to get these players in. And you've been able to see them just kind of kick on a lot more. And they do have a little bit more mettle, a little bit more resolve about them now, than maybe they didn't have in previous years. And look, when you like some of the results this year have to speak for themselves. Like, they beat Donegal, they've beaten Armagh. They obviously came from 10 points down versus Galway in the league. They've beat Mayo quite comfortably. They've beat Galway again now in the Connacht final. Like, yeah, there have been a few slip-ups in the league. Obviously, maybe the defeat to Dublin is probably the one that maybe kind of stands out as a defeat, but at the same time, everyone's had blips on the radar this year. Kerry have had theirs against Donegal. Donegal lost it down. Like, no team is going to be flawless or perfect. And Galway and Roscommon, like, Roscommon could lose to Tyrone the next day. Like, it could happen. Like, there is going to be flaws and ups and downs and everything else. But yeah, like I said, I could have earlier in the year when I seen Roscommon beat Armagh, like, with how well they played and how well they beat them. I always fancy that similar trends to, and even Gavin was saying in the comments, like, similar trends a little bit to Meath, in terms of everyone's kind of underestimating them and writing them off, but they have so many ways they can hurt you. And I'm kind of seeing similar trends there as well. So, look, the big thing really for them now will be, can they get a championship win in Croke Park? Can they get to a semi-final? Look, it won't be easy because they have to get to a quarter-final first. And with the new setup, that's not going to be easy either. And there's a lot of great teams in this championship as well. So, Roscommon could play Kerry in an All-Ireland quarter-final as an example, and that will be a very tough game, in my opinion. So it kind of depends, but like I definitely think it's possible for Roscommon to go on a bit of a run. And with the fact they've won the Connacht title now as well, like maybe the pressure is off them a little bit as well. So they can kind of go and maybe surprise a few more people. Who knows?
Absolutely. Well, we have comments in here from the two Roscommon men who are in the comment section. If you're watching and you're from Roscommon, we'd love to hear from you. Senan says, I think at this moment in time, this is the best Roscommon team I've seen in my lifetime. Excited to see what the future of the county is. Gavin saying it's more of an even playing field, Seamus, compared to Jim's, Dublin, Rochford's, Mayo, Bonners, Donegal and Hearts Tyrone. I'm not saying everyone now is bad, but that gap just isn't there anymore. I absolutely agree. Like, it's not a case that the top isn't as high as maybe it was. I do think, like, if Jim Gavin's Dublin were to come back in, I still think we'd be number one. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. But I do believe that the general level of where Division 1 and Division 2 teams are at is much higher now than it was 10 years ago. I really do believe that's why everybody's taking points off each other in the league. That's why there's shocks happening left, right and centre. That's why Meath get taken out in Leinster. That's why Donegal get taken out in Ulster. It's like the gap is way lower now. And I think things like the Táilteann Cup have played a big part in that, because Meath down, these teams have been able to really progress in these competitions. But yeah, we're going to be Brian here saying we're going to have a look. Honestly, at half-time with Cork, 3-up, I was so nervous, says Brendan. We're going to come to that game next. But yeah, lads, final thoughts, final takeaways. I came to Aaron twice, so Liam, I'll go back to you. Final touches on this game, I suppose. And a sensational win for Roscommon. If you could wrap us up on this one.
Enjoy it. Absolutely. Savor it. Enjoy every celebration that you can for however long, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, you saw from the celebrations after the match, this is what you play sport for moments like today, and the comeback. And a lot of those young boys and girls that would have been at that match today now have heroes for life after today as well, which will all inspire them to, if not play football for Roscommon, to take up other sports or to pursue their dreams. And honestly, today was a sign of courage, determination, mettle, and have to say it, balls, to be honest with you. They showed everything that you'd want in a team in terms of chemistry and character and everything. Roscommon richly deserve it. Congratulations to them. And just honestly, lads, don't worry about that All-Ireland series for now. Go and enjoy this. Drink your pints, fill that cup, and don't go into work tomorrow morning.
Yeah, very well said. Congratulations to Roscommon, a sensational achievement. And to win the treble, to win it at minor, under 20 and senior level is an absolutely outrageous achievement. And Roscommon football right now is in an absolute fantastic position. I think it's all fair enough as well to say, lads, at this point, we've been proven wrong by Mark Dowd. We've been proven wrong by this Roscommon team coming into the year. I think on paper, looking at how cutthroat Division 1 is, like, I think it made sense to think that Roscommon maybe would struggle when you consider the fact that they were without Kieran Murtagh, who had retired. They were without the St. Bridget's players who had gone deep into the club championship. They were without Downey Smith, who had retired. And they had a new manager, Mark Dowd, who hadn't managed at the top inter-county level before. It made sense on paper to think that they were going to struggle, but how they have performed has been absolutely remarkable. The Division 1 campaign was brilliant. And to back it up with a Connacht title as well, where when, you see teams win a provincial championship sometimes where they kind of sneak into the final and they haven't played, like they've gone through the top teams in Connacht to get here. To beat Mayo and Galway back to back, there's no doubt about it. You're the best team in the province. And to win the treble, sensational stuff. Congratulations to all involved. Fair play to the Rossies on their march. And we're going to read the comments here, the last comments on this game. Senna says, should I go to school tomorrow as a Roscommon man? We're not going to advise you on that. John here says, John says, up the Rossies, absolutely brilliant and beautiful. Brian says, history made for this young and youthful Roscommon team. They have a great league campaign. And Brendan saying, well, in fairness, Seamus, this is usually where Roscommon do well, so they could still crack yet, but in fairness, this Roscommon side feels different. Yeah, this Roscommon side does feel different, to be honest. Gavin says, for Galway, they did lose to Roscommon in 2001, but bet them again in the quarterfinal and won the All-Ireland, so I wouldn't write off Galway either. and then it says Cork, the only hope to making Munster Championship, not one-sided, just don't see enough quality from the other side. So that's the next game that we're going to come on to. But massive congratulations to Roscommon. Sensational victory. We're moving down south next, and Kerry remain the kings of Munster. Kerry 123, Cork 115 in Fitzgerald Stadium. This is probably the most highly anticipated Munster final I've seen, at least since 2020. 2020 had a bit of a different atmosphere because of the pandemic and because of Tipperary trying to make history and everything like that, and it had a bit of a different atmosphere around it. But this game was absolutely hotly anticipated, and to see a massive crowd packed into Fitzgerald Stadium for Munster Final Day was good for the soul, to be honest, because the Kerry-Cork rivalry has been something that we've been missing in the game. But to see it back in full effect, I've seen our good pal Dan Casey put up a few videos from around the ground and everything like that, and just seeing the energy and the buzz and the life around Munster Final Day again was absolutely brilliant to see. But Kerry remain the kings of Munster. 6 titles in a row now since they were shocked in 2020, and Cork did make them work for this one. But in the second half, thanks to the man himself, David Clifford, leading from the front, Kerry remain kings of Munster. Liam, it's pretty hard to argue. But Cork did make them work for it, more so than previous times. But Kerry remain on top.
They do. And we said it earlier that Paddy going off looked like it was the big kind of defining moment in the game, because you're thinking that is one of probably Kerry's most key players going off the pitch and at a vital time of the game. But then people forget they've got another Clifford on the pitch, and by God, you need to keep him quiet by all means. And I don't envy any person that has to go out and mark David Clifford any day of the week. Like, I'd rather mark Lionel Messi, to be honest with you, in football than David Clifford in Gaelic football. Like, how you don't, as much as O'Mahony tried today and anyone else that could try to mark him throughout the season, you just can't. Like, I don't care what anyone says. I actually think it's physically impossible. Players in Kerry might be able to figure it out, say, because they're playing against him maybe the whole time, they're used to him, etc. But for me, I actually think it's mission impossible trying to mark David Clifford, and it was proved again today with not just his goal, but his performance overall. And I actually think as well, the new rules, the lease of life he now has with these new rules as well. You saw it last year. It almost looked like his entire passion and love for the game came back. And you saw it again today, the fist pumps. He was up for it today. He was determined to win today. And it, like you said, it's 6 in a row for Kerry, but it is Kerry at the end of the day who've won, like, how many Munster titles at this point? 70, 80 Munster titles. Yet it still matters to them so much, so badly, and to beat Cork in particular. And you got to give Kerry credit. The players that they were missing today to step up when their backs were against the wall to get the victory over Cork. It is tough for Cork. It absolutely is. There's no denying that. And you got to feel sorry for them to a bit of a degree as well, that they were in such a good position in the first half. They built up such a huge lead as well. They were 8 points to 3 up after, 10, 11 minutes of the game. They were kicking unbelievable points. They were well on top of Kerry. They were winning kickouts. They were playing, I would say, the more attractive football as well. It was a lot easier to watch on the eye. And then Kerry just came out in the second half and they were a completely different animal altogether. And look, congratulations to Kerry again. Big win for them. 6 in a row in Munster is still an absolutely incredible achievement. And this I think this now shows as well that even though Kerry had the injuries out today, that their strength and depth is massive, and it's going to go a long way to potentially winning them an All-Ireland again this year. And I can imagine as well, McGuinness would have been watching that today going, right, not that he didn't think it already, but he's thinking, by God, we have our work cut out for us going down to Killarney for the All-Ireland series. But that just means now for me, it's going to be absolute cinema between them and Donegal in the All-Ireland series. It's going to be a cracker of a game. It's unfortunate for Cork, but I don't believe it's now or never for them. They're a really good team. Cleary, for me, has done a sensational job for them this season in particular. They put up a great fight, the best Munster final we've seen over the last number of years, and they absolutely will be back again next year. There's no doubt in my mind. And they're getting closer and closer to taking down Kerry. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. So we have some unbelievable comments in here. Brendan saying it felt like a proper Munster final up to halftime. After halftime, though, Kerry just put the hammer to the floor and didn't let up. And with the comment of the pod, says Father, Son, and the Holy Clifford. Peter saying Cork second half stats not great reading. Burns played well, obviously. Mihal Burns. Sean saying good win for Kerry given the injuries, but now they've potentially increased with Paddy Clifford and Dylan Casey going off at half time. Mikey saying Cork were very wasteful when they cut it back to a 2-point game. They had the chances but blew it. I think it is something that is kind of getting in now, that like, Aaron, that's something that has become a kind of clear trend. And even watching the game, there were times where Cork were a little bit eager taking the shot and everything like that. Like I've seen a few times they were kind of passing it around to try get it to the shooters, like the Sherlocks and everything like that. And then when Sherlock would get it, he'd almost be a little bit eager to take the shot on. There's kind of a sense that Cork maybe left this one behind them a little bit. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like in the first half, they were nearly probably shooting too much, and then in the second half, it was nearly the opposite. Now, obviously, like the breeze kind of played a big part in it. Like there was a favorable enough breeze in the first half for Cork, obviously in the second half for Kerry. And yeah, like maybe Cork didn't take advantage enough. Like they started the game brilliantly in terms of shooting. Like I mean, there were 6 points. They scored 6 points in the opening like 6 or 7 minutes. And you're thinking, right, Cork are absolutely bang up for it. Like this is exactly what we need as a neutral in terms of this game and everything else. But it just felt like maybe when David Clifford got that goal in the second half, Cork just sort of, like the confidence just kind of got drained out of them, and they didn't really have a plan B as well. It felt like they kind of maybe approached this game hoping that they'd have a big enough lead at halftime, and then, like they'd have something to defend in the second half. And in the end, it was only a 3-point lead. Kerry obviously overturned that lead pretty quickly. And to be fair to Kerry, like you have to give them good credit, like considering the players that they did have missing. Sean O'Shea, Paul Gainey, I think gets injured in the warm up from what I heard, so he doesn't start. You have a few other injuries as well, like Tom O'Sullivan. Yeah, Shane Ryan as well. Like I mean, you have a lot of injuries coming into the game. Paddy Clifford goes off at halftime. Like you're thinking, Jesus, like you couldn't have asked for much more. Like if you're a Cork supporter here, like the stars are very much aligning. And yeah, they couldn't really create opportunities. Kerry were very good defensively. Kind of like they dropped a lot deeper in the second half. So, the threat for goals wasn't really there for Cork. And obviously with the wind as well, like they kind of very much banked on Cork not taking 2-pointer opportunities, and that was the case in the second half. Like they just didn't go for them at all. But even with all that, like Brian O'Driscoll gets that goal, they get a point shortly after that. It's down to 2, and you're thinking, right, it's back on here. It's absolutely back on. But again, they just didn't really kick on after that. And I don't know what happened. Like Stephen Sherlock's shooting in the second half was very weird as well. Like a lot, like it was almost like he couldn't kick the ball. I don't know if it was an injury or what it was, but it wasn't even like they were dropping short. Like he just wasn't getting distance on it at all. So yeah, like it wasn't vintage Kerry, but I do think at the same time Kerry looked fairly comfortable in the game. They never really looked like they were ever going to lose the game, even when they were behind in the first half. They never panicked.
Yeah, no, they were absolutely brilliant in terms of how they dealt with the fire that Cork brought to them. We've a lot of really, really good comments in here. Liam, one directly for you in a word, because obviously we have to talk about the Kerry game more. Boy, Liam, do you think Offaly can make a Leinster final this year? Wouldn't rule it out. You're on mute though.
Really not a bad thing. I've probably been talking too much all day. No, it's possible. It's definitely possible. I think it's probably a bit more unlikely, just given the fact that you've Kilkenny on 3 points, Dublin on 5. Galway will be in the Leinster final at this stage. I feel like a lot of results, not just say us winning our next 2 games, but other results have to go our way as well. I wouldn't rule it out, but I think for me, our main goal is to try and get third in the group in the round robin series. But anything's possible. There's no doubt about it. But for the moment, I would say we're probably still unlikely to get there. But after today, you never know what can happen.
Absolutely. We have a really, really good comment in here from Damo. He says, very few teams in Ireland would beat Cork with that many missing. And I think that's a very, very important point to remember. Kerry's strength and depth, like, to be honest, Kerry's strength and depth is frightening. When you consider they beat Cork in this Munster final to make it 6 Munster titles in a row, they're without Shane Ryan, Paul Murphy, Brino Bugli, Joe O'Connor, Graham O'Sullivan, Sean O'Shea. Tom O'Sullivan was injured as well. You've got Killian Burke, Mark O'Connor, and Rob Monaghan also playing in the AFL, and instead of playing with Kerry, just to add in as well. Then on top of that, Paddy Clifford goes off injured. Gavin White isn't fit enough to start. Dylan Gainey also comes in off the bench. Their strength and depth is frightening. The fact that they can still win a Munster title with those players injured or missing or not quite 100%, you're damn right. I still think Kerry are favourites for the All-Ireland. With that strength and depth, and with that, as Brendan said, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Clifford, like, I mean, with that guy up front, David Clifford, you can beat anybody. And again, his goal in that second half was absolutely superb. Came at exactly the right moment for Kerry because it just burst the Cork momentum. And Cork then went a fair while without scoring, obviously broken then by the Brian O'Driscoll goal. Brendan here saying Lee Keegan expected Cork to use the running game, and it was proper stifled by the Kerry defence, which looked shaky enough in the league at times. Yeah, and Peter also saying Meath smelling blood now. It is going to be really, really interesting to see. But yeah, that's it. Kerry remain kings of Munster. Lads, anything to add before we wrap up on this game?
I don't think so, no. I think you said it well. Like, I think Kerry's depth, like, I mean, considering the injuries, you know, like, it will be interesting to see, though, how many of those players are fit for Donegal. Because, look, I think a better team, a team like Donegal, would punish Kerry today, in my opinion. They would punish Kerry a little bit more. So, look, that'll be an interesting one to see in a few weeks' time.
Absolutely. So, well, it's time to move away. Big congratulations to Roscommon and to Kerry for their Provincial Championship wins. But now we're going to move on to the opening round of the Táilteann Cup 2026. And we're going to split it into days of action. So obviously we had 2 games taking place on the Saturday, which is yesterday. But it might be later if you're watching this back and not live. But we also then had more action today. So we're going to start off with Saturday's action. And we're going to go to you, Liam, for no reason whatsoever. Offaly beating Clare 117-114 in Port Keysol. Incredible win. But meanwhile, down at Wexford Park, Wexford beating Limerick by 219-111. And Ben Brosnan still leading the way for Wexford. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. So very, very impressive wins for Wexford and for Offaly. You must be delighted with how they went.
Yeah, I suppose touching on Wexford, first of all, we probably expected this result. Wexford have been going in a much better direction than Limerick this season, which is mad to think considering Limerick bet them in the league final last year. You know, just how much of a different direction the two sides are in at the moment. But listen, Wexford, full credit for their victory. They were absolutely sensational. You know, to hit 219 on your opening day. And that's a great response as well to losing to Louth in the manner that they did as well. To go and score 219 in your next game and at home. Very, very well done to them. Absolutely fantastic. And like you mentioned there, Brosnan with 6 points. Fantastic performance. Mark Rossitier getting a point. Tom Byrne getting 2 points. It was a really, really good performance from them. The goal coming from Michael Kinsella and Liam O'Connor as well from wingback getting a goal as well. So big win for Wexford. I don't know where that leaves Limerick at this moment in time in terms of where their development is at, to be honest with you, because they were going in such a good direction last season, you know, only narrowly losing the Táilteann Cup, getting promoted back up to Division 3. It's not been as good this season, unfortunately, for them. But look, they're still a team that, as they go into the loser section now, they're still a team I wouldn't really fancy taking on because they have a really good amount of good footballers in their team. So I still think they might have something to give in the Táilteann Cup. In terms of us, this is the first time this year I'm coming on this pod saying that our men's team have won a game, and it's May, which is mental. But
crazy. Brendan has the question there for you. How much of a shock was it for you?
I think it was more of a shock, just the fact that we haven't won a game this season, but we haven't really looked like we'd win a game this season. And listen, credit to the players, the management, and everybody. Keith O'Neill is pure class. Yeah, I'll happily name my first child Keith after yesterday. or Dylan, to be honest with you. Dylan Hyland coming back has been huge for us, to be honest with you. He had a sensational 2025. Keith O'Neill, we all know about him. He's just Offaly's. I think like he's the sort of player that we've kind of been, say, upset to have seen him playing in the half forward line at times because he's such a dangerous full forward. You know, he's very dangerous inside the 20-yard, 30-yard mark, but he's so creative as well, and he's really good at just he's kind of like, say, our Dan Burke in hurling. You know, he's not just the scores he gets; it's his all-round game. That's why it suits him being in the half-forward line, and you kind of saw that yesterday. Look, unfortunately, I couldn't get to the game. I was covering our minors, who had a spectacular comeback themselves in the hurling against Kildare. So well done to them for that. But to hear the commentary on the radio, like from what I heard in the first half, it just wasn't a great game in general from either side. But yet Offaly were still winning. Clare were kicking a lot of really bad wides. A lot of shots that they were kicking as well were going straight into Conor Melia's hands. So they'd have been disappointed a lot from that remark. But the goal from Shane Tierney came at the right time. It was very well worked. It was very hard worked, I have to say, when I saw it on the Saturday game last night. But well worked goal. And for Highland to get 9 points, Keith O'Neill to get 4 points, and just for us to get a victory, just that feel-good factor again. And I met Declan Kelly after the match as well, and he's in great form as well, which is good to see. And I'm delighted for him and for the entire everyone. The lads, met some of them last night as well, and sure, they were over the moon as well. And yeah, it's just brilliant to get a victory of some kind. Look, I was expecting a tough game against Clare. I expected Clare to win the game, just given how they performed against Kerry, given how we've performed this season. I didn't have a lot of confidence going into it, but they've proven me wrong. They've proven all of us wrong. And yeah, they go into the winner section now, and hopefully it's the start of a good journey ahead for them. Hopefully it gives them the bit of confidence to kick on now. And yeah, it's nice to be sitting here talking to you lads after a victory finally for Offaly. It feels good, I can't lie. I wish I had this feeling more, but no, fair play to the lads. And yeah, hopefully we move on now for a good couple of months in the football.
Absolutely. So Mark Dunphy here saying good morning from Ulaanbaatar, obviously in Mongolia. Absolutely mad. Great to have you with us, Mark. Welcome back. We get a piece of Ireland, even though you're all the way in Mongolia. Great to have you with us. Matthew as well, our final member, weighing in, of course, on that Munster final, saying no point in beating around the bush. We blew a big chance. Wanted to beat them, but 1-2 in the second half is not good enough. Darragh Sheedy and Brian Hurley were losses, but not that big of an excuse. Straight to the point. It's very fair reflection of the game. Gavin saying Offaly dark horses for the Táilteann Cup. Unbelievable stuff. Well, they are in the winner's pot, along with, of course, Wexford, who won their game against Limerick. And so too are Tipperary, Antrim, Laois, London, and Fermanagh. And we're going to come to those games next. And I'm going to go to you for Sunday's action, which was today, of course, from the Táilteann Cup. Tipperary got a very impressive win away in Sligo and Markovich Park, beating Sligo by 17 points to 112. Antrim and Carlow played out a cracker, finished 6-17 to Antrim, 2-26 to Carlow after extra time. Laois beat Wicklow by 123 to 19 points in O'Moore Park. London got a very impressive win on the road in Fairfield, beating Waterford by 5-12 to 10 points. While Fermanagh beat Longford by 124 to 217 in Brewster Park. I suppose only one place to start, really, the goal fest between Carlow and Antrim. 8 goals between both sides.
Yeah, absolutely mental. Like I hadn't seen a lot of these results actually before doing this stream, so it's kind of nearly double taken the Carlow Antrim one there to be like, what on earth actually happened there? But I think someone was saying on one of my streams earlier that like it went to extra time or something like that. So yeah, absolutely crazy stuff altogether by the sounds of it. But yeah, massive win for Antrim. Like they are in a good bit of run of form. I know they did lose to Derry in the Ulster Championship, but like towards the end of the league, they've racked up a couple of wins. Disappointing for Carlow, like probably since winning or since their promotion in Division 4 and winning the Division 4 title, like they probably haven't quite been able to get the results they would have wanted, obviously with the defeat to Wicklow and everything else. So it probably does put them on the back foot now going into the losers round of this competition. Big win for Tipperary as well, away to Sligo. That's definitely a result I think that definitely surprised a lot of people. Question marks maybe over Sligo a little bit in terms of where they're going, how they're progressing and everything else, and worrying signs there, because I think we all expected that Sligo were going to kick on and improve, but just doesn't seem to be happening under this, under the new management or whatever is going on. I'm not entirely sure. But fair play to Tipperary. I know Matthew's been saying, I've said it a few times as well, like they have had a good few younger lads come into the team this year. So it's good to see them kind of get a big result. Yeah, big win for Laois as well, beating Wicklow. Wicklow, a banana skin type game. And in fairness to Laois, they handled that fairly comfortably. And yeah, fair play to London as well. Like it's, I think most of us backed London to win that game. But to win it by 17 points is some going. And look, London are technically 2 wins away from playing in Croke Park. If they win their next game, they're in a quarter final. If they win their quarter final, they're in Croke Park. It's a long way to go, yeah, of course, but London do have a great chance. Maybe this might be one of the best chances that London have in a long time in terms of getting to Croke Park. And then obviously big win for Mana as well. Getting over the line versus Longford, but a fair play to Longford. They gave a good account of themselves there. But big win for Mana. I think only their second win all year, so huge.
Absolutely. So, Liam, is there any game that you want to pick out before we move on? Táilteann Cup action from the Sunday.
Well, to be honest, after the mood I'm in today, I hope to God London do go far, just so I can shout North London forever for a few more months. But that's just me. That's just me being me today. But no, listen, that is an unbelievable win for London. I agree with what Aaron was saying there. Like, we predict them to beat Waterford, but to put 5 goals past them just shows where London football is at the moment. They're in a really, really good place. From Carlo, I mean, I do wish that game was shown on TV, to be honest with you. That would have been an absolute cracker to watch. 8 goals. Like, I was keeping up to date with it when I was in Tullamore earlier, and by God, I was like, this is hardly the real score. Like, surely there's a typo here, or someone's just had a bit of fun with the Scorpio stuff, but by God, what a game that was. It's unfortunate, like, that wasn't the game that was shown. Look, I do agree with what Aaron said there. Wicklow could have been a banana skin for Laois, but Laois took care of business rather comfortably. Kind of had the game sort of won at half time, and fair play to them for that. And I mean, as someone who works in Midlands 103, that's great for me as well, for Laois winning, to be honest with you. But some great results today. Fair play to Tipperary. I predicted Sligo to win by a point. I wasn't too confident saying it because Tipperary are a team that I feel are on the rise now. They have a lot of really good young players coming through. It's the best place Tipperary football has been, in my opinion, in about 5 years, 6 years. So, no, brilliant for them to get the win. For Sligo, and it's disappointing for them because we sort of expected them to kick on, after the good underage players that they've had coming through over the last number of years and everything, and it just hasn't really come to fruition yet. So, look, hopefully it will at some stage for their sake and for the sake of Connacht football as well, to make it extra competitive over the next couple of years. But yeah, great win for Tipperary. And have to say the football championship this year, lads, have to say it's been absolutely fantastic.
It has been absolutely brilliant. I'd say so far, it's shaping up to be the best football championship we've seen since 2010. Like, the way it's going, you're thinking the upsets down in goal, Westmeath beating Meath. Like, we've had absolute epics. Leitrim beating Sligo, like, genuinely, like, shocks week after week. And even then, games that didn't ultimately get the shock, but like Wicklow pushing Dublin all the way. Like, we've had results around the country, games that shock you around the country. And the new rules, like, it's made you forget how bad football used to be, like, even just 2-3 years ago. Like, let's be honest, most provincial finals a couple of years ago would have finished like 14 points to 12 or 112 to 12 points. The fact that, like, Roscommon beat Galway 321 to 222 and don't even bat an eyelid now at that massive score that they're putting up. Like, we are blessed and we are living through a great time to be a fan of Gaelic football. But yeah, massive shout to all teams who are successful in round 1 of the Táilteann Cup. And we have more action, of course, in the Táilteann Cup next weekend, which we will preview on our weekend preview show. We're going to move across now to the second of our 4 codes, the LGFA final round for the provincial action. And there was no question, the main province where things could be shook up was the Munster Championship. And it certainly was. Waterford beating Tipperary by 12 points to 8 points in Field, and Kerry beating Cork by 116 to 8 points in Fitzgerald Stadium. So with these 2 results, Waterford and Kerry have officially qualified for the Munster LGFA final of 2026. Waterford beating Tipperary in Field, and Kerry seeing off Cork comprehensively, has to be said, in Fitzgerald Stadium. Sheaf Roche leading the way with 1-3 in that one. Whereas for Waterford, they make it 3 from 3 in what has been a very impressive Munster campaign. So, Liam, Waterford, Kerry in the final. What are you expecting?
Yeah, sort of as I expected, to be honest with you. Waterford, for me, are a team that are firmly on the rise, and I'm delighted to see them in this stage, to be honest with you. I really like their team that they're assembling. I feel like a lot of their players have that same belief this year that this could be a special year for their team to win a provincial title, challenge for the All-Ireland, go as far as they can in that, maybe even win it. And yeah, for me, deservedly in the Munster final, great performances from Kellyanne Hogan getting 4 points, Lauren McGregor getting 2 points, Katie Murray getting on the score sheet as well. And really solid defensively as well, only conceding 8 points as well against Tipperary. Tipperary's games have kind of been sort of low scoring over the last couple of weeks. So I feel like Tipperary would have been strong defensively themselves, but with the talent that Waterford have at their disposal in attack, it's I feel like they were always just going to get that edge, to be honest with you. But look, it's a brilliant win for Waterford ladies football, and to see them in the Munster final, I mean, fair play to them. And I love the Kerry ladies footballers. I think they play excellent football, and I'll get onto them in a second talking about the Cork game. But I would love to see this Waterford team win the Munster title. I think that would just be so good for the ladies football game. I think it'd be great for GA in general to see this Waterford team kick on and have a special year. But yeah, I think it sets up a cracking Munster final, has to be said. And can we talk about the fact that Kerry finally won a game at home? They finally did it. It's incredible to see them winning against Cork today. I'd say poor Cork now are probably more sick of Kerry today than they probably ever have been in their lives. But yeah, rather convincing from them today, which is good to see from their perspective. Niamh Concur getting 3 points, really, really good performance. Siobhan O'Shea getting a goal and 3 points. For me, if Kerry had won the All-Ireland last year, I think she would have been probably the footballer of the year. I think she's an exceptional talent. I think she could destroy any defence in the country, and she's done it again today. And Leah McMahon as well getting 2 points, Anna Galvin getting 2 points from midfield. Great win for them. It's a tough defeat for Cork to take, but ultimately for me, Kerry and Waterford are the two best sides in the Munster Championship, and I think we're in for a really, really good, and I think we could be in for a high-scoring Munster final as well.
Absolutely. So Mark saying Galway losing to Roscommon was a massive shock in his opinion. Sean saying we said similar things last year, has been great so far, but I feel when it all gets to Croke Park, it will become a little bit more predictable. Peter says big win for the Kerry girls, certainly so. Ryan also says, lads, I was talking to some Galway lads at the game today. They said that Sean Fitzgerald is gone from the Galway panel. I have noticed that he hasn't been playing. Like, I don't know if he's been injured or what, but hasn't been starting. Time to move on. We're going to move on. Aaron, could I get your 2 cents obviously on this before we do the Munster final pairing, Waterford versus Kerry?
Yeah, it should be interesting. Like, I mean, Waterford have obviously gotten the better of Kerry very recently, so they'll be licking their lips and fancying their chances and everything else, especially given how the season has gone so far. Like, Waterford have probably been more informed. Kerry have maybe had a couple of players leaving the panel over the last kind of couple of years, so it feels like it's a massive opportunity and a massive chance for Waterford to win a major piece of silverware. So yeah, I'd give them every chance, but look, you can never sleep on Kerry, whether, you know, in football, ladies football, you can never write them off. But I think this is as good as a chance as Waterford will have for some time.
Absolutely, and then it also stakes their claim as a serious All-Ireland contender even more as well. Brendan here saying Chief Roche seems to be the natural successor to Louise Ní-Bhur-Hertig. She certainly does, leading from the front today with 1-3 and what was a crucial win. Aaron, I'm going to go back to you for the next game, which of course concerns our own County Dublin. We beat Meath in Parnell Park, 1 goal and 11 points to 5 points. Caoimhe O'Connor leading the way with a goal and 2, while Jodie Egan also chipped in with 4 points. Niamh Heatherton deserves a massive shout as well, getting 2 points from midfield. So we'll be ourselves against Kildare in the Leinster final.
Yeah, and from what I heard, it was fairly comfortable enough from a Dublin perspective. It was a game that never really looked in doubt, and a game that we controlled, obviously, throughout the majority of the game. A lot like most games against Meath recently, in terms of championship, obviously maybe not so much. I think the Leinster final last year, it was a really close one. But generally speaking, yeah, like I think it's been a good result and a really good performance, a needed performance as well from a Dublin perspective. Look, Meath have obviously lost a lot of players in recent seasons and certainly don't have the same level of talents that was once there. So probably very much a transitional season from their perspective. But look, we have to do our job, even with some players that we've lost as well. And look, we got over the line, and yeah, big win for the girls.
Absolutely. So we're into the Leinster final against Kildare, who obviously got that superb win over Meath in round one, and Meath weren't just not able to turn it around by beating Dublin. If they had beaten Dublin, it would have thrown a real spanner into the works. You would have had to get the calculators out to see who was going to go through. But it is Dublin and Kildare who will meet again in that Leinster final. And to be fair, that game in Parnell Park between Dublin and Kildare was tight, so it will be very interesting to see how the final goes. Peter saying Meath have lost some class players. They certainly have. When you're looking at the panel and you're looking at the squad and you're not seeing the likes of Vicky Wall there, you're not seeing the likes of Sarah Wall there, you can't lose those players. You can't lose the likes of Mary Kate Lynch and just act like nothing happened. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Meath definitely aren't at the strength that they were in last year's All-Ireland series, hence why they beat Kerry in that All-Ireland semi-final and got to the final. But, yeah, I do believe Dublin and Kildare proved to be the strongest two teams in the Leinster Championship this season, and they will meet in the final. Ulster LGFA's round 3 then. This one was a foregone conclusion. It didn't really matter because Tyrone and Armagh had already beaten Donegal. They are confirmed for the Ulster final before a ball was even thrown in this game. But Tyrone did get over the line in this one by 110 to 8 points. Maeve Maxwell hitting a goal and 2. Niamh O'Neill and Aoife Horsk getting 2 points each as they beat Armagh in Healy Park. The sides will go head-to-head again in a few weeks' time in the Ulster final. Now, moving on to the next code, we have the Hurling Championship, and we had 1 game from the Munster Championship, then 3 from the Leinster Hurling round 3, and then round 3 from the John McDonagh, round 4 from the Chrissy Ring, round 4 from the Nicky Rackard, and round 4 from the Laurie Maher Cup. But we're going to start off down south in the Munster clash of round 3 between Waterford and Cork. It finished Waterford 25 points, Cork 126 in Walsh Park. Cork go down to Walsh Park and eliminate Waterford from the Hurling Championship. And with that, they put 1 foot into the Munster Hurling Final. Aaron, it was an interesting game. It was the type of game where it was back and forth. When Sean Walsh put over a score around 53 minutes, Waterford were 2 points to the good. But Cork really took over from there, showed their class. Mark Coleman hitting the back of the net, and that was in a spell where Cork hit a goal and 3 without reply. In my opinion, that was the key spell of the game. And the Rebels just showing a knack now under Ben O'Connor for getting the win in very tight, very competitive games.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't the best version of Cork. I think we've probably seen all season maybe. Like they certainly weren't at their best. They were obviously missing some key players themselves and everything else. But it just felt like everything that could go wrong for Waterford on the day did go wrong. Like you feel sorry for them in many ways. 2 black card decisions, which look ultimately, according to the rule book, they probably are black cards, but you could also argue that maybe should have been a black card the other way, actually maybe a couple of minutes after the second Waterford black card. So maybe the Deutsche can feel a little bit unlucky in regards to that. Stephen Bennett going off injured at half-time, like he's been their main player, their goal getter. They lacked that goal threat in the second half when they needed it. And even a few of the goal chances, some big saves by Park Holland. So you feel like on another day, Waterford could have won this game. And I do think they were overall the better side, in my opinion. I thought Jamie Barron was rolling back the years at different stages in terms of some of the points he was scoring. Caleb Lyons was absolutely brilliant as well. And look, Waterford have brought through a few younger players this season. So I think they can take the positives going into next year. Like, I think there is a mad set of circumstances that can happen that can allow Waterford to get out of Munster, but I think it's like every other game needs to be a draw or something like that, and then Waterford need to beat Tipperary by a mental amount of points, or beat Limerick, by a mental amount of points in the final day. Similar with Cork, like it's probably going to take a mad set of circumstances for them to miss out on a Munster final. I think there need to be like a 20-point swing between them and Clare on the final day. And Clare would obviously need to win all their games, Limerick win all their games. So yeah, it's unfortunate from a Waterford perspective, but as you said with Cork, like they were not at their best. Like I have seen some Cork fans and a lot of people be very critical of Cork, even despite winning this game, which I am surprised by, because like you can't be perfect every game. You're gonna have ups and downs. You're gonna have, it's never gonna be perfect.
Yeah, do you know what I think it is? It's just a personal opinion. I think personally, it's a response to how they got too carried away in last year and the year before. I think they're just trying to be like, hold on, we've been here before. Let's not get carried away. Liam, no offense, I think Arsenal fans have also seen it. with Ty and people like that saying we're going to win quadruples in November and stuff like this. Cork look really good, but they also looked really good in the Munster Championship in 2025. And they also look really good in the Munster Championship in 2024, obviously when the switch was flipped and they beat Limerick. They've seen them look really, really good and not come away with the silverware. And it's one thing that they've saw that the hype kind of helped to derail the team. It was similar, Aaron, when Dublin in the football went, 16 years without an All-Ireland from 1995 to 2011, is that the hype would always get way bigger than the team. And then we saw ourselves absolutely come undone in the All-Ireland semi-finals against Mayo in 06, Kerry in 07, quarter-final against Tyrone in 08, quarter-final against Kerry in 09, when we were supposed to be this team that was going to take on the world. So when Pat Gilroy comes in and kills the hype, Dublin fans actually kind of lapped it up. And I think similar situation is happening with Cork. All the signs are there that they're flying. And they're just like, no. It's like a bit of PTSD. We've seen this before. We're not going to believe that we're going to get the All-Ireland until we've done it. And I think it's kind of similar. Like, it's like boxing fans, almost like Tyson Fury coming out saying that, him and Anthony Joshua have agreed a date, and everyone's saying I'm not believing it until they're actually walking to the ring. Like, that's basically what Cork have here. The PTSD, I think, of the previous 2 years of losing the finals the way they did. I think the fans are wisely being a bit calmer about the hype train this year. I don't know. Do you agree, lads?
I think so. Yeah, I think it is sort of similar to Arsenal, to be honest with you. Like, Cork went years, and similar with Arsenal, playing like really good hurling. It was really easy on the eye, but then they would just never get over the line. There was always something missing. I think what Cork are doing at the moment is probably the right way of winning games, if that's probably the right way to say it. Like, they're not, like you saw last year, they won the league and they won it very comfortably against Tipperary. They destroyed, I know Darren McCarthy was sent off before the ball was even thrown in, but they destroyed Tipperary in the championship last year, were relatively comfortable against Waterford. They had the collapse against Clare, say, in the second half, but again, very, very good against Clare in the first half down in Ennis. Won the Munster title, put the 7 goals past Dublin in the semi-final, but ultimately, who won the All-Ireland? It wasn't Cork. So I think Ben O'Connor this season is going, right, obviously you want to win the games. And listen, I'm sure Ben O'Connor would love to win every game by 15, 20 points. But they're showing a defensive solidarity and a defensive, I suppose, unity at the moment that we maybe haven't seen from Cork over the years. Like, if last year, say, you had Darragh O'Leary, Kieran Joyce and Downey all out for the trip down to Walsh Park, would they have won last year? Even with Pat Ryan, all the good work that he did, and fabulous man, fabulous manager. I think for himself, it's a shame he never got to win that All-Ireland with Cork. But would they have won? Because they were so hectic going forward that they could have let themselves exploited at the back. Whereas at the moment, it's not quite like that. O'Connor, for me, is fixing a lot of issues in the back line that needed fixing right now. And he's getting them all playing a lot better as a unit. And they're showing a great mental reserve to, go to the All-Ireland champions and beat them after losing to them last year. Come back against Limerick and beat them at home when your backs are against the wall. And especially yesterday, Waterford's lives essentially are on the line, because for me, and I'll be at the game next weekend, I don't see them beating Limerick at the Gaelic grounds next weekend. I think Limerick are just too strong. Spoiler alert for Thursday's episode. But it was essentially do or die for them yesterday. And yet Cork still came away with the victory. They found a way to do it. And that's exactly what I think is the formula that they'll need going forward for the remainder of the season. Look, the Clare game at the moment looks like it won't matter too much for Cork at this current moment in time in speaking. It depends how the results go elsewhere for the remaining few weeks. But
I think they'd love to knock Clare out, though.
That is true. But I think if you'd said to them, get to the Munster Final first, I'd say that's just their main goal, to be honest with you. Or obviously they're in the knockout stages now, which will suit them obviously down to the ground, having that already guaranteed. But no, I think trying to just win these games, but go about them in, I suppose, an undercover type of way, under the radar, getting the job done, no big fuss after it. I think they're actually going about it the right way at the moment.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I think as well, I think it's something that people shouldn't do too much of, in my opinion, is to look back on Pat Ryan's teams and start poking holes and being like, oh, well, they weren't good here and they weren't good there. The reality is, me and Matthew were at that All-Ireland final in 2024 against Clare.
Yeah.
They were good enough to win that. They were worthy All-Ireland champions if they had won that game. I was there. I was literally in row A, right behind Brian Lowe and me and Matthew were. We saw Robbie O'Flynn crack a shot towards goal when the game was absolutely in the balance, and Eibhear Quilligan made an amazing save. And if that shot goes in, Cork win. They were good enough to win in that year. And the reason why the rumours of something happening at halftime took off like a rocket was because they were good enough to win last year as well. So they've been good enough. It's just getting the rub of the green and the things landing for them in that final, and they need to get back there again. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. Peter saying good interview with Pat Ryan and Owen Sheehan on Off the Ball last week. It was very, very interesting to see how Pat Ryan sees the current state of hurling right now. Sean here saying, are Cork confirmed for the Munster Final? And if they are, do you think they'll go hard against Clare? Do you think that they will rotate? Look, a lot needs to happen for Cork to not get into the Munster Final. If Limerick and Clare both win their games, they can end up on 6 points, and then they can go into some kind of weird score difference thing against Cork. But if Cork get anything from that Clare final, from that final game against Clare, they're in the Munster Final, no question. So that's why we're saying that they've 1 foot in the final, but they're not confirmed qualified for it just yet. Liam, before we move on, obviously I asked you kind of a bit of a generic question about Cork, but if I could get your direct recap on this game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate from Waterford because they were in such a good position. And like Aaron said there, I think by the rule of the law, the 2 black cards were justified, in my opinion. People will give out about the black card rule being introduced into hurling, but at the end of the day, they had to do something to, stop all the pulling and dragging down of players, and especially bearing down on goal, etc. I think it was just becoming a bit too out of hand, to be honest with you. The penalty taken by Mark Coleman was excellent, and I just felt he was going to score it just because the first penalty that was taken was Connolly took it, the first penalty, if I'm correct in saying. It just wasn't a great penalty. It was a great save, but it still wasn't the best penalty that he could have taken, whereas Coleman's straight into the corner. No goalkeeper is saving that, even if he went the right side. I don't think he would have gotten there. But overall, a really good win for Cork to go away from home at a ground that they lost to 2 years ago. Backs against the wall again, because at the end of the day, people could say, oh, it might not have been a game that Cork wanted to win. Ben O'Connor wants to win every game. It's as simple as that. He wants to win every single game possible. It could be a challenge match. He wants to win it. He's very determined. So Cork, for them, I think massive for their mentality as well to come back and win that game with the players that they had out. For Waterford and for Stephen Bennett, first of all, I hope to God he's okay. I hope that's not the last we see of him, not just for Waterford, but just in hurling in general, because he's an absolute warrior on the pitch, and everything he goes through to get himself fit for games at the weekend. Seems like a down-to-earth character as well. I think he had Holy Communion with his school as well that morning, which is even more fascinating. It just tells you everything. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about the GEA. Like, I know Barca and Real are playing at the moment. I can't imagine Rashford had to do Holy Communion or something like that this morning before Barca Real. But it's just so unique about the GEA. But look, it's unfortunate for Waterford. But again, it just shows you that they're struggling in this round robin series, and it's another year where they are going to struggle at the end of the day with the results in it. And yeah, it's going to be another early exit for them, in my opinion. Come next weekend, I think their season is going to be finished, but ultimately they haven't won their games, and that's the consequences of it.
Absolutely, it really is cutthroat, like the level that they have to get to. And yeah, I'd like to echo your statement as well, wishing Stephen Bennett all the best. We hope that the injury is not too severe. We know the battles he goes through just to get out on the pitch anyway, but that looked like a bad injury. And hopefully we send our best wishes to Stephen on his recovery. Class player, and seems like a class bloke as well. So all the best, Stephen. Moving across then to Leinster. Aaron, I'm going to go to you for this one. Wexford 22 points, Dublin 221 in Wexford Park. There's no other way to describe it. It's a massive win for Dublin down at Wexford Park, beating Wexford by 5 points. However, we did kind of allow them back into the game. Our discipline, especially going down the last 15 minutes, Lee Chin hit over 5 frees as Wexford hit 7 points in a row to close the gap from 10 down to what ended up being a bit of Scary one going down the home stretch, but Donald Burke fired over a score, checked the momentum. Donald Burke was absolutely sensational, got man of the match, and we get out of Wexford with a deserved win. The 2 goals in the first half, well finished by David Purcell, and the control and finish by Cian O'Sullivan for the second one was absolutely outrageous. We were the better side, and we get the win.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, it was a weird game. Like, it was a very stop-start game. Like, it didn't really have much flow to it. There was a lot of frees, a lot of fouls, a lot of rucks. Like, a very scrappy game, to be honest with you. Quite different to the game that was actually played in Croke Park, where that was just pure entertainment. Like, this was a little bit different to that. And I don't know, maybe if because of what happened in that game, maybe the referees were the referee was a lot more kind of hands-on with this game to kind of not allow similar kind of happen to obviously what happened at the end of the Croke Park game. But yeah, it was just kind of relief really that Dublin got over the line in the end. It was far from Dublin's best performance. It was maybe like similar a little bit in the sense of mentioning Cork, like, we got over the line, we got the victory, but we know that we do have to improve and get better, going into the next 2 games against Galway and Kilkenny. I know Galway had their flaws maybe against Kildare, and we'll get on to Kilkenny Offaly as well, but Dublin they definitely do need to improve. There's no getting away from that. Like, Wexford, the amount of wides they had in the second half was just like crazy. Like, they must have hit about 7 or 8 wides in a row. Like, Wexford lost this by 5, but they'll probably be feeling like they maybe should have won the game given the amount of chances that they actually missed. And like, Dublin for large parts in the first half, like, we were looking like we were going to probably win this by 15 plus at one stage. Like, obviously 2 very good goals, one from Cian O'Sullivan, and shout out to David Purcell as well, obviously getting the goal coming into the side. Young player, really, really stood up, and a very impressive performance from him. Brian Hayes in around the middle was very good. Donald Burke, as you said, solid on frees, took his chances, took his opportunities. And yeah, like, for Wexford, they just couldn't really ever get going. They couldn't really get any momentum in the game. It was really only in the final, like, 5-6 minutes where they started to kind of make something out of it. And again, aside from Lee Chin, they're just not really clicking. And it's hard to know if, is Rossiter's been there a couple of years now. Like, do they need to look at a change? It's hard to know where it's going wrong for Wexford. Is it a case that the players just aren't there anymore? They've obviously lost a lot of players, but, like, they're probably not going to get relegated this year with the fact that they have the win over Kildare on head-to-head. But the way things are going, I think Wexford, if they don't get their act together in the next couple of years, without question, they'll be in the Joe McDonagh.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely heading in the wrong direction. You see the strides that Kildare are making. We'll come to that game against Galway. Peter saying Rushy reeling in the ears. He was absolutely brilliant. He didn't look like he'd missed a step at all. And to be honest, I remember thinking it because obviously do a lot of commentary on the Dublin Championships and everything like that. Liam Rush still looked like the best centre half back in Dublin. Like, in those championships, he still was outrageously good for Nafina. In their All-Ireland win, he was absolutely brilliant as well. Like, so I was thinking, like, if he's up for it, I'd absolutely have him back in. Like, it's just a question of, does he want to go back? Brian's here saying Owen O'Donnell and Liam Rush were brilliant. Hopeful Owen O'Donnell injury isn't too serious. Yeah, me too. Donald Burke, Cian O'Sullivan and Brian Hayes were also brilliant. Sean here saying as well, Donald Burke and Cian O'Sullivan were class, but Wexford overall just lacked so much quality. My thing is that I even when Wexford were pushing really hard for the goal going down the home stretch, I never thought we were going to concede a goal. I wasn't afraid of what they had to throw at us, apart from Lee Chin. Like, missing Rory O'Connor and Conor MacDonald over the last 2 years, like, it's just they haven't been replaced to the same level. And it's really unfortunate, but that is just kind of how it is. And that's why I think the questions about Keith Rossiter, I don't know if it's Keith Rossiter. I genuinely I just don't think that, like, I just don't think they have the same squad that they had 7 years ago when they won the Leinster Championship. And I think that's the brutal truth about it, is that it's very easy to point at the manager, because when the direction is down, it's no fun being the pilot. But that is the direction that they're heading when they're losing key players like this. And my thing is Lee Chin himself, will he stay around? Like, if this is what it's going to be next year, the year after, Lee Chin carrying the can, I can't imagine it's too fun. And it just, in this game, I think there's a real compliment for Dublin in this. the fact that we went away to Wexford and won, and people are saying wasn't a great performance by Dublin, etc. It's because people are holding Dublin to a higher standard now. After beating Limerick in the championship last year, being in Leinster finals over the last 2 years, and being tipped by a lot of people to be an outside shot to win Leinster, it is a big compliment. Because a few years ago, people would have been like, what a win for Dublin, absolutely sensational. But the fact is, people are holding us to a standard of being an outside shot for the Leinster Championship and trying to kick on from there. Not all Ireland contenders before anybody accuses me of saying that. But in Leinster, we're seen as a contender, a direct contender for silverware. Peter saying, sorry, but that ad, lads. Of course, the board gosh energy ad with the two Johnny's. Ryan here saying they need a replacement for Lee Chin. Brian saying here, Dublin's defence was magnificent. Wexford over-reliant on Lee Chin. We were totally comfortable. Yeah, we get out of Wexford with the win, and I'm absolutely delighted with it. I think there's nothing but positives from this win for Dublin. Liam Rush came back in, looked like he hasn't lost a step. O'Donnell has absolutely made the defence better since returning from the footballers. Donald Burke was magnificent. The fact we still have players like Sean Curry to return. Bring on Galway, bring on Kilkenny. That's what I'm saying. And speaking of Kilkenny, they are damn lucky that they did not lose today. Offaly 24 points, Kilkenny 121 in O'Connor Park. Liam, take it away.
So close and yet so far. It's first of all, I suppose, addressing Nansen at the end, was it a 65? I'll be honest, I don't know. Probably not. From where I was all the way up in the press box, so I can't sit here and say for definite if it was or not. Originally, the umpire gave it as a wide, and then the other umpire didn't know what was going on. Johnny Murphy, I should say, went in and overruled it. And I suppose as soon as he went in, you sort of thought he's going to overrule this, isn't he? So we were all kind of holding our breaths, and we kind of got that feeling he would. But I think overall, I think it would have been a travesty if Offaly didn't get something from this game, to be honest with you. Kilkenny just were not anywhere near the same Kilkenny as we've become accustomed to over the last number of years. What really indicated it for me was the fact that TJ Reid was taken off in this game with about 20 minutes to go. Like, TJ's the best hurler of all time. I don't care what anyone says. He's the best I've ever seen. He's probably the best we'll ever see in our generation. But by God, today, his free taking was not great. He got 2 points today, one from frees, one from play. Cian Kenny missed a couple of frees, but at the same time, he also stepped up when Kilkenny needed him. He got 5 points from play. Mossy Keown got 3 points from play. He had a really good game too. But just overall from Kilkenny, they just kind of looked like they kind of lacked ideas at times. Look, they were still winning the large majority of the rucks and the dirty ball, etc. But in terms of being clinical and having that killer edge and all that, they just were nowhere near it, to be honest with you, of the Kilkenny teams that have gone by over the last number of years. But at the same time, credits Offaly. 2 home games this season, draws against Dublin and Kilkenny, breaking the 20-point mark once again with 24 points against Kilkenny, 422 against Dublin. Like, that's 446 we scored against Dublin and Kilkenny at home, which is absolutely savage, to be honest with you. And Owen Cahill, big performance from him today. Probably struggled a small bit in the opening 15-20 minutes, but once he got a foothold in the game, his free taking got so much better. His points from play were excellent as well. And to have the nerve to step up and take that 65 at the end and send it over the bar, I mean, credit to him and credit to the Offaly team for getting a draw against Kilkenny. And it now firmly puts us in a position that we could reach either a Leinster final or reach the All-Ireland quarterfinals, which, considering this was a county that 6 years ago was struggling in the Christie Ring, had been relegated to Division 2A, was struggling to get out of the Joe McDonagh for 3 seasons until we did in 2024. To see us now disappointed to have drawn with Dublin, disappointed to have drawn with Kilkenny, much like yourselves with beating Wexford, the fact that we're sitting here saying, we didn't beat Kilkenny, we didn't beat Dublin, just shows how far this team is coming. We didn't have Adam Screeney today. And if we had him, I think we would have won the game. The space that was being afforded in today's game for the forwards, he'd have absolutely loved it, to be honest with you. And I would have been fascinated to see him go up against either Bulger or Mikey Butler, to be honest with you. But look, it's still a fabulous result for Offaly. Shane Rigney had a savage game. Killian Sampson, Ben Keneally has been absolutely fantastic. this season. His man marking skills is one of the best in the country that you'd find, to be honest with you. Dan Burke, the game of his life, in my opinion. Listen, O'Cahill probably did get man the match in the end, which is completely fair. He stepped up at the big moments. But for me, Dan Burke, 3 excellent points. His first touch, his way of gliding past players, he's a generational player for Offaly. There is absolutely no doubt about it. He has a big career ahead of him for Offaly hurling and for Baldomir as well. If Baldomir are ever to win an Offaly title, he's going to be at the heart and centre of it, to be honest with you. I hope they don't, but he will be at the heart and centre of it. But yeah, great to get a draw. Unfortunate that we didn't get the win in the end, but at the end of the day, those lads have put in such a massive effort this year. And in fairness to Liam Hoare as well, the goal that Mikey Kerry got, very fortunate. I think it took a deflection on the way in and Liam Hoare just misjudged it. But then he came up with an absolutely unbelievable save from TJ Reid a few moments later. And Liam Hoare, it's very rare that he makes a mistake or lets in a shot that he shouldn't let in. He's a top-class goalkeeper. And yeah, he's done savage for us this season. But yeah, tough to draw it, given that we were so close. But at the end of the day, Offaly hurling's going in the right direction. And yeah, Wexford now next week, and I have to say, we need to get, I think there was around 6,000 people in Tullamore today. We need O'Connor Park bouncing next week because the players feed off that as well. They feed off the energy. They feed off the love and the support of the supporters as well, being in there and cheering them on. Every score, there was a roar. Every tackle, winning the ball back, every ruck, everything, there was a roar for them. And I just hope to God next weekend we get, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 into O'Connor Park next weekend. And if we can beat Wexford next weekend, get ourselves onto 4 points, then I'm telling you this, we have a huge chance going into the final day against Kildare. But yeah, fair play to those lads. They're an absolute credit to the county. Fair play to Johnny Kelly and the management. And yeah, I'm buzzing. What a day for me.
Yeah, no, I've nothing really to add to that. But I hear saying Offaly with a few claps. Says Matthew said Offaly would win, and it was close. Sean saying good to see the Offaly lads stepping up without Adam Screeney. Great game, Rossi Zabu, says Liam, of course. Peter says, Liam, you could still make third. You will beat us. Sean saying in regards to Kilkenny, it's like Seamus says, when the only way is down, it's no fun being the pilot. In Derek Ling's case, it's a perfect use of that quote, Sean. Sean also says, I think next year Offaly will be a contender for the Leinster Championship, but this year is a little too soon with the young squad. You will definitely beat Wexford and Kildare, says Peter. Brian says Offaly should fancy their chances of beating Wexford given what we've seen this far. I think it's absolutely it absolutely is the case. I've seen a lot of outlets saying Offaly nearly pulled off the shock. I'm like, it's not a shock. If you look at how the championship has been going, Offaly are absolutely at this level now. And Kilkenny's level has also decreased. And I know that I'm saying that ahead of them coming to Parnell Park where they could break my heart again. But I really do believe now, having seen everything that we've seen this year, this is our best chance to beat Kilkenny. This is our best chance that we've seen since 2013 to beat Kilkenny. But yeah, we won't get into that rabbit hole too much. But yeah, a draw between Kilkenny and Offaly. Absolutely sensational game. And yeah, moving on now to the final game from the Leinster Championship. Kildare gave Galway an almighty scare in St. Conleth's Park, but in the second half, Galway, led by the likes of Conor Whelan, were able to use their experience to get over the line. 422 to 122 it finished in St. Conleth's Park. I have some comments starred and highlighted here from earlier in the show. Peter threw these in. Says, and was in Newbridge yesterday for Kildare Galway a bonkers game, most bizarre game of two halves I've ever seen. Was actually thinking at halftime we could land a major shock. Galway were really poor in the first half. It looked like they were still on the bus. Rian Boren and Paulie Dolan landed massive scores. Murish Curtin is one of the best forwards in the game now. He's from the footballing stronghold of Moorfield, but by God, he can hurl with the best of them. Kildare can be happy with their first half display. Galway steadied the ship in the second half. Definitely something Donoghue can use to keep their minds on task as they welcome the Dubs to Salt Hill. Aaron, there's no question about it. At half-time, you were looking at it going, this could be on. But Galway's experience and know-how, I think it's fair to say, helped to get them over the line.
Absolutely, yeah. It was kind of mental watching the game. Kilkenny or Kildare were 12 points up at one stage, I think, in the first half. Like they were very, very dominant, and Galway just weren't at the races at all. Like they were very, very flat in the first half. Like it felt like they just kind of turned up and thought they could kind of just stroll to the victory and everything else, but that wasn't the case at all. Like Rian Boran, I thought, in a fullback, like he was absolutely brilliant. He was collecting so much ball that was coming in. The Galway forwards didn't have an inch of space. He was absolutely brilliant. Maurice Curtin as well, like phenomenal forward. And some of the points he was scoring in the first half were brilliant as well. And yeah, Kildare played really, really well, and fair play to them. Like to have a 10-point lead at half time, like you were always expecting a bit of an onslaught from Galway in the second half. Look, maybe Kildare would be a little bit disappointed that it ended up a 9-point defeat in the end. It ended up quite a comfortable win for Galway, but it is a young side for Kildare. It's their first season, obviously, in the Leinster Championship. It is a shame that it looks like they're going to go down to the Joe McDonagh. Like, I don't know. I don't know about you lads, but maybe a conversation for another day. But I think we need to look at extending the Leinster Championship because, Kildare, for me, have proven they belong at this level.
It also derails a lot of teams making progress. It's done it to Westmeath, it's done it to Laois, it's done it to Carlow, it's done it to Antrim. When you come up and that ceiling is so ruthless, so cutthroat, that if you slip up once, you're going down, or if you miss a game, like when Kildare didn't beat Wexford, it felt significant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like extending the Leinster Championship has to be something that is seriously looked at.
Yeah, like I think two groups of 5, like the winners, you could do the 2 semi-finals of the top 2 teams. You could do a relegation playoff at the bottom 5. Like the Munster Championship's already 5 teams as it is. So it's right. Maybe they might be playing an extra game with a semi-final or something like that. You could have a playoff then for the beaten semi-finalists for the 3rd place team or something of that nature. But I definitely think it's something that they need to look at, in my opinion, in terms of extending it out. But look, fair play to Kildare. Look, fair play to Galway as well, because to be 10 points down at half time and then in the end come back, turn it on in the second half, that's not an easy thing to do. Like when you're miles off the pace and then you need to turn it on and switch it on in the second half. And to be fair, they did. Like Tom Monaghan came off the bench, changed the game for me, scoring 1-4. He was absolutely brilliant. Conor Whelan got a very good goal as well. Look, fair play to Galway. They got the job done. Again, maybe a bit like mentioned Cork and Dublin. Was it vintage Galway? Absolutely not. But they got the win, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. So look, it's one of those where avoid the banana skin that was definitely there in Newbridge for them, and get on and get to the next round with the points, and that is what they've done. Porter says Galway will be a dangerous team later in the championship. But yeah, we're going to move on now. The Joe McDonagh round 3. Liam, I'm going to go to you for these fixtures. The main one that everybody had their eye on was Down versus Carlow, and Carlow went to McKenna Park and got the win by 3-17 to 2-17. Martin Kavanagh was the key man in getting this win for Carlow. Westmeath were given a bit of a hiding by Laois in Cusack Park, 5-28 to 2 goals and 19 points. And Antrim got what is an important win in Ruislip, given the state that they were in heading into this contest. London did score 4 goals, but Antrim scored 122 to get the win. And get themselves on the board, which is vital.
It absolutely is. Got to give credit to Down, first of all, for putting up that sort of performance and getting as close as they did to Carlow, which I felt Carlow would probably maybe win this game maybe a bit more comfortably, just given how well they've done so far in the Joe McDonagh. And I feel like Down are still a team that maybe need another year or two, kind of like Offaly and Leinster, of like Joe McDonagh experience to really, really push up their levels. But they're showing great potential at the moment. And it's a great credit to Ron Sheehan and everyone in the backroom team at the moment. And Seamus's dog agrees with me there. But it's a brilliant performance from Down. It's unfortunate for them that they didn't get the victory in the end, but they'll take a lot of positives from this game. You have Pierce McCrickard, who is having a sensational season, getting a goal and 4 points. Dahi Sands getting 2 points. Tom McGrattan, I should say, getting 3 points. But for Carlow, it's another win for them. It's a massive win for them. James Doyle, Marty Kavanagh getting 2-12 between them. They're just 2 of the finest hurlers to ever come out of Carlow. They're absolutely savage, the 2 of them. You Donald Murphy getting 3 points. Chris Nolan only getting 1 point, which is a small bit of a surprise. But at the same time, other players did step up for them. Paddy Boland getting the most important goal as well for them too. So, yeah, massive, massive victory. And like Down were winning this game coming down the home stretch about 10 minutes to go as well. So Carlow needed a big response towards the end. 2 Marty Kavanagh frees towards the end. Well, 3 Marty Kavanagh frees, I should say, towards the end, helped seal the victory for them. And yeah, it moves them now into a really positive position. 3 wins from 3, you'd have to have them now potentially as favourites to reach the final. Antrim needed that victory badly, but to concede 4 goals is a small bit of a concern. But great credit to London as well, putting up a performance like that in Ruislip. They'll take a lot of confidence from this as well going forward. I suppose for Antrim, look, it's a victory and you move on. But I think at this stage, reaching the John McDonagh final for them looks like it's probably a bit of a stretch too far, to be honest with you. As for Laois and Westmeath, I expected Laois to win this game, I'll be honest. I didn't expect this sort of a hammering, but you got to give credit to them. 5-28 away from home. They did beat them comfortably enough in the league in Cusack Park, and they did last year as well. But they're really making a good habit of winning in Cusack Park at the moment, which is a good thing for Laois, considering how difficult it is to go to Mullingar, whether it's for club or championship. It's a horrible place to go to for an opposition player. And yeah, to score 5-28 is absolutely savage going, to be honest with you. A bit of a tough one to take for Kevin O'Brien and his Westmeath team, but I think they are a team. They've lost a lot of players over the Christmas period and over the winter months, etc. So it is going to be a bit of a rebuilding period for Westmeath and for Kevin O'Brien, but I think he's the right man to lead them through that charge. You had Stephen Picky-Marr getting 1-4, Aaron Duffy getting 1-10, Tomas Keys getting a goal, Ben Conroy getting 1-5, who has had a really, really positive season to date so far. And yeah, for Tommy Fitzgerald, great positive win for them. They're back on the high horse now, especially after the win against Antrim the last day, which was crucial. And for me, it would probably come down to Laois and Down in their match. But if I was to be predicting at the moment, I think we're going to be watching a Carlow Laois Joe McDonagh final in a couple of weeks.
Very good stuff. And we're going to move on now to round 4 of the Christy Ring Cup, where we saw 2 draws and an absolute decapitation between Kerry and Wicklow. A quite scary scoreline, which we'll come to in a second. Donegal 17 points, Roscommon 114 in O'Donnell Park. Meath and Derry both hit 315 each in Trim. And Kerry put 825 past Wicklow, who finished with 17 points. In this game, Kevin Goulding got a hat-trick. Michael Slattery got a hat-trick as well. And Luke Rochford also hit 2 goals and 2 points off the bench. He came on the 50th minute. Aaron, unbelievable win for Kerry. And we picked them at the start of the year as the standout team from the Christy Ring Cup. They're certainly living up to that billing.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, that's pure domination. Just a pure hammering. Like, to score 8 goals, absolutely outrageous. Like, looking at it here, Michael Slattery with a hat-trick, Kevin Goulding with a hat-trick as well, Luke Rochford with 2 goals. Maybe a little bit disappointed that, they didn't have a treble of hat-tricks there in terms of how it went. But look, scoring 8 goals, they'll absolutely take it. The other 2 games, draws as well, like Meath and Derry finishing in a draw, Donegal, Roscommon ended in a draw as well. And even just looking at the table in the Christy Ring Cup, like Kerry guaranteed obviously in the final, but everything else is pretty much still up for grabs. Like, even looking at it there, Donegal, who currently sit in 4th, like, they could still get relegated, but they could also still end up in the final. So like, it's a bit of a only 4 points separating the bottom team and the second place team, so it's absolutely up for grabs there going into the final day. The only team that won't have anything to play for is Kerry, with the fact that they're obviously in the final. So and the fact they're playing Derry as well, so maybe that might benefit Derry there, with Kerry potentially resting players. But yeah, like, absolutely, like, mental kind of day there. And it's shaping up to be a very interesting finish to the Christy Ring Cup.
Absolutely. Well, lads, we'll put the skates on because it's just hit 9:30, so the Sunday game is starting. So obviously the people tuning in will want to be catching that as well. So Liam, moving to the Nicky Rackard Cup round 4, then we had Armagh losing to Louth 319 to 316 in the Athletic Grounds. Tyrone beating Fermanagh 321 to 213 in the Tyrone Centre of Excellence. And Mayo beating Sligo 222 to 121 in McHale Park. And you're on mute, sir.
Jesus, delusional time has hit us now. I would say now it puts Tyrone in a really positive position now to reach the Nicky Rackard final. 4 wins from 4. They're motoring along very nicely. They love getting goals. I have to give them that. Jesus, they're scoring a huge amount of goals in the Nicky Rackard this season, which is absolutely fantastic to see. We love to see it from their perspective. Big scoreline from them there. Louth getting a huge win away to Armagh as well. They badly needed that victory as well I would say, in terms of the relegation, but I would even say still in terms of reaching a potential final. Look, Mayo got a really, really good win against Sligo, especially getting it at home as well by 4 points. But yeah, kind of like the Christy Ring, it's shaping up to be a very interesting end to the championship here. You have 3 teams there that could easily reach the final in the end. And it's shaping up to be a really good conclusion.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, round 4 then of the Laurie Marr Cup. This saw Monaghan beat Lancashire 28 points to 113 in Inniskeen. Longford beat Cavan by 318 to 115 in Breffni Park. And Leitrim beat Warwickshire 118 to 212 in Park. Sean McDermott.
Yeah, like and even looking at it here, like that should be Leitrim going into the Laurie Marr Cup final, which look is great for a county like Leitrim to get that exposure and everything else. And I'm fairly sure the Laurie Marr Cup finals are played in Croke Park, so like that'll be a great day out for Leitrim supporters and for the Leitrim hurling team to get a day like that. And then big win for Monaghan, like you said as well. Great result for them, and great win for Longford as well. And even looking at it, it will be between Longford and Monaghan actually playing each other on the final day in the Laurie Marr to get into the final. So that'll be pretty much like a semi-final really there. So that'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on now to our final code. Liam, I'm coming to you for this one. We had the Leinster Senior Camogie Championship final clash between Wexford and Dublin, and it was an absolute thriller. Wexford getting the better of Dublin after extra time in the Leinster Camogie final. Absolutely sensational stuff. The game finished Wexford 121, Dublin 21 points after extra time, and this one was in Cusack Park. The key moment came from Linda Bulger, who hit the back of the net for Wexford. Crucial score. And obviously Wexford, they've done this one the hard way. They beat Kilkenny in the semi-final. They've beaten Dublin in a thrilling final. No question about it. Worthy Leinster champions. And a massive shout as well has to go to Chloe Cash, who finished with 13 points in an incredible individual display. Congratulations to Wexford, Leinster Camogie champions 2026.
Absolutely. I'll just correct you on that one first, because the game, which I think it's very controversial for this now, was actually moved to Carlow on the day of the final. The match was actually played in Netwatch Cúilín Park. And for me, to be changing that on the day is ridiculous. And I think that shows that work still needs to be done in order to give the Camogie players and management the respect that they should be getting, to be honest with you. Players would have had to change around time schedules with their lives, work, college, something like that, anything like that. And that's not right, in my opinion, no matter what circumstances. I think that could have been handled so much better. But getting on to the game itself, savage win for Wexford. I definitely wouldn't have predicted them to win the Leinster Championship at the start of the season. To even beat Kilkenny was some going, to be honest with you. That's absolutely remarkable in itself. But then to go and win the Leinster final against a really good Dublin team, who I saw it firsthand when we played them before the men's game a couple of weeks ago. They were savage against us in O'Connor Park. They have some savage forwards. I love the way they play their Camogie. They're a really fast-paced team, really strong, really fit as well. But Wexford still came away with the victory, and it's great credit to him. Like you mentioned, Chloe Cash with 13 points. Caoimhe Byrne, full forward, got 4 points as well. Really good performance from her. Linda Bulger getting the most important score of the game, which was the goal, along with the point that she got as well. You also had Leah Furlong getting 2 points from wingback as well. So a great performance from Wexford, a great Leinster final. And it's nice to see. I'm glad that this was the final, to be honest. And nothing against Kilkenny, but just to see the progress in the provincial teams across Leinster, to see these two teams in a final, I think is absolutely brilliant. And they put on a real show. And look, this won't define Dublin's season. I think they could be in for a really long and ambitious season as well. But great win for Wexford. Congratulations to them, and I hope they enjoy the celebrations.
Absolutely. So, well, Aaron, moving then to the Ulster Senior Camogie Championship final. Antrim got the better of Down by 2 goals and 11 points to 11 points. No surprise that it was Roisin McCormack who led the way with 1-4, but also a big shout as well to Ava McAllister, who finished with 1-2 from full forward. Antrim get the better of their local rivals and are Ulster Camogie champions 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. A massive win from an Antrim perspective. It's actually the first time they've won 3 in a row. Provincial title since the 1970s. So some going obviously for Antrim there. Like by far the better side from looking at, like reading a match report here. Like they took a 1-5 to 4-point lead into the break at half time. Roisin McCormack scored the crucial goal 5 minutes before half time. And then, as you were saying there, big goal from Ava McAllister in the 44th minute, really kind of sealing the game. And Roisin McCormack scoring 1-4 there. So big result there from an Antrim perspective.
Absolutely. So congratulations to Antrim and to Wexford on provincial honours. Super start, but It's interesting as well, the way the Camogie Championship is structured. It's different to the LGFA. It has absolutely no bearing on how the Camogie groups go in the championship. So they're a little bit more low-key than the other codes, the Provincial Camogie Championships. But yeah, still an incredible achievement for Antrim, still an incredible achievement for Wexford. Massive congratulations to all involved. That is our show. Before we do wrap it up, we give a massive shout as well, because the intermediate and junior Camogie finals took place today in Ulster and Leinster. The Ulster intermediate final saw Cavan beat Tyrone by 115 to 110, and the Ulster junior final saw Monaghan beat Donegal 5-12 to 2-4, while in Leinster, the intermediate final, Laois beat Westmeath by 115 to 113. And that is the end of our show, guys. So thank you very, very much to everybody for getting involved in that show. It was another really, really enjoyable one. And we tried to get it wrapped up before the hour 40-minute mark, which we have done. Peter saying, lads, super review show. Thanks a million. Have a good week. And catch you as usual on Thursday at 8 p.m. Thanks a million, lads. See you on Thursday, says Ryan Gallagher. Sean and I says, great pod, lads. Thank you very, very much for all the lovely comments. Thank you for getting involved in the live chat. We will see you all Thursday night at 8 p.m. for our weekend preview show. Gene asking, will we be at the game next weekend in Croker? We'll keep that one as a surprise for you.
More than you can believe.
Oh, yeah, Aaron will be there. I'm keeping mine as a surprise for people. We'll see. If you see a big, tall ginger, it might be me. But yeah, thank you very much for everybody for getting involved in the live chat, and we really, really enjoyed it. Big shout out as well to ATAC Sports, our championship coverage partners for 2026. Check them out across their socials and their website for any sportswear in the game. Mila Wickes for joining us. We will see you all on Thursday at 8 p.m. for the weekend preview show. Until then, Torah.
Instinct, baby. Follow your instinct.